and 3 other people decided to ride in the truck on the way back down. And so there was nobody in the back of the truck that spoke Spanish, and the driver only spoke Spanish. So we're going down the mountain, and he drives a lot faster than our van driver did because obviously it's a van and a truck, and he's used to driving on the roads, and our dentist wasn't. So of course the van's way back, and we didn't really think much about it because the truck driver drove a lot faster than our van. But he pulled off on the side of the road to talk to his friend in Spanish, and he's just talking and talking and talking. And I was like, oh my goodness. And the van wasn't coming. It wasn't coming. It wasn't coming. And finally, as we're sitting there wondering what they're talking about, because we have no idea, a motorcycle comes down the hill. This guy driving with a helmet on, and on the back is our nurse. And we're like, so we realize then that she had hitchhiked down the mountain with this guy on a motorcycle. And she gets down here, she's all out of breath, and she goes, the van overheated, they're stuck up there. And so she jumps in the truck driver takes off. We're flying down this mountain, and we're in the back of the truck like this, because we're like on top of dental supplies, trying not to fall out. And we get to the bottom of the mountain, we hit paved road, he starts going even faster. And so we're sitting in the back, and we get to the orphanage, and he drops us off. And we take the dental supplies up to the orphanage, tell them what's going on. We have to stay with the dental supplies because nothing can happen to them. And the guy driving the truck takes the nurse back up to the top of the mountain. And we were wondering what was going on. They finally took us back to our house where we were staying. We all had to pile into 2 buses because one was stuck on top of a mountain. And finally, right before supper, the truck comes down, unloads our people, and finally the van comes back down. But I thought about it later, and I was like, if I would have been our nurse, I would not have hitchhiked down a mountain with some random Spanish-speaking guy on a motorcycle. And so I thought about how brave she had to be. And she had given her shoes away to somebody who came into the dental clinic and didn't have shoes. So she was borrowing somebody's shoes so she could get on the motorcycle to come down the mountain to tell us that the van had overheated and they were all stuck up there. So there's a lot of things that happened that made me think, number one, she could have just been like, I don't want to do that, and made somebody else do it, and it would have been a lot harder. But instead she came down, she told us, and the truck driver took us to where we needed to be, and they were able to go pick them back up. And I think that we were wondering why our driver was taking so long to talk to that guy on the side of the road, but it was probably so the motorcycle could catch up to us to tell us what was going on. Because if we wouldn't have stopped, we probably would have been to the orphanage by the time, because, I mean, a motorcycle can't go very fast, especially if they stop to pick up our nurse. And so I thought about how we were lucky that he did stop and talk to those people, even though we were wondering why we were stopped, because they could have been stuck up there and we would have never known, because none of us had cell phones. It was just a bunch of kids in the back. So I thought that God was watching out for us when this truck driver found his friend, or we would have been separated and never known what happened to the van and would have had to go looking for them. So I think that God was definitely in that situation and gave our nurse courage and also stopped our truck. So I think that it's important to think, even if we're wondering why something's happening, that God usually has a reason for it to happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Okay, I know there was